So, girls, listen up. We are going to be quiet. Nazareth, y'all listen up. Okay. Brand. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to start off like as if we were in middle school, and then we'll go on into high school. This is super serious, like you've got to have this skill to succeed in something called derivatives that you'll learn in calculus, okay? So this is like what I said, we'll start off like we're in middle school. Like if I have 3/4 plus 5 over 6, how will I add that together? Common denominator. Would it be in my best interest to use 24? I probably could use 20. I could use 24, not probably. I could use 24, but then I would have to reduce it later, and I want it in simplest terms. So it's easier for you to use the least amount that will take care of it as possible. So that's 2 times 2 and 2 times 3. So what's the smallest number? Called the least common multiple, 12, okay? So your common denominator is 12. What will you need to multiply this one by? 3. And your math teachers do it like that, so it's 3 over 3. And that way I haven't really changed the value of it, because it's like multiplying by what? 1. I like to explain all of that, because sometimes I see students have that aha moment. You just did what your teacher did, kind of by rote, to get it right, and maybe you didn't understand what you were doing. I hope that you understood what you were doing there. So I really haven't changed the value of 3/4. I've just changed how it looks. So that's 6 over 12. What do you need to multiply this one by? 2. And that's going to give me 10. So that's going to give me 16 over 12, which still needs to be reduced, but at least my numbers aren't bigger than they needed to be. And so then my final answer would be what?
Wait, isn't 3 times 3 9?
4 over 3.
Oh, so thank you. It helps if your math teacher can multiply. Thank you, Kate. So that other one I would have reduced. Okay, but 3 times 3 happens to be 9, and so we're safe with 19 over 12. You can just leave it like, I mean, you're not going to have numbers anyway. You're going to have variables in it, obviously. So if they have something to do with each other, what just happened is just sort of naturally, you realize that you needed 12. You needed to compensate for these 2 2s and a 3, and then these 2s take care of that one as you were consolidating your information. Okay? So you're looking for the least common multiple for your common denominator, all the words that your teacher used back then. Big deal that I'm about to say here. This is a big deal. Notice this is not an equation, this is just a statement. You treat, and sometimes people don't realize coming out of algebra 2, I didn't, so I'll speak for myself and a lot of my students. You just sort of learn things your teachers teach you and you do them, because you're in training for pre-calculus and calculus. Like here's all your tools, and then you pick them up and use them, whatever. Like in calculus, at any moment, I might need something that I learned before. You really treat statements differently than you do equations, differently than you do inequalities. Those are all different scenarios, so remember that. When we graduate to equations, probably in the next class, I won't do the same thing, because an equation is a whole different animal. An equation is something I can do to both sides, okay? This one doesn't even have 2 sides, it's only got 1 side. It's a statement, it's not an equation. That's why I have to do this. Do y'all see what I mean? All right, so let's get started. Let's go ahead and start with number 1. All right, so this is number 1. And just fill in your sheet, because when we have a quiz on this, probably next Wednesday, after I'll look at the calendar and let you know. So it won't be our next class, but we'll probably have a quiz on adding and subtracting rational expressions, and that's what your homework will be on Delta Math. And it might even be a Delta Math quiz, I haven't decided when Wednesday rolls around. But you can use this as a study sheet. All right, so number 1, you have u minus v over 8v plus 6u minus 3v over 8v. So you probably wish I wouldn't even do this one, because it already has a what? Common denominator. And so since it already has a common denominator, I can add together and get 7u minus 4v. So you love those, right?
Yes.
All right, so I'll provide you all the answers to this. In fact, on your way out the door today, remind me to, I just told my honors class to remind me to do something, and I think we all forgot.
Homework, quiz,
Oh, what? I don't know what it was. Anyway.
calculator.
I don't know what it was. Anyway, y'all remind me to post the answers to this, and I'll send you, an email or post it in assignments. All right, so we're gonna, we're not gonna skip number 2. Let me show you why we're not gonna skip number 2, because it's got a danger warning sign on it.
Wait, I have a question.
Okay.
Is it possible to simplify like negative 4b and 8b? No.
Great question, okay? Girls, please listen to Alex. I'm so glad she asked that, because you would be prone to do this. And my honors class has already done this topic, and I was counting off for what she just brought up, okay? People wanna go, oh, well, that's in common, and make that like a 2. That doesn't make any sense, okay? But I didn't know that didn't make any sense when I was starting pre-cal. I was like, that looks, I see people do stuff like x plus 4 over x, and think, well, those x's will cancel, right? So it's a really maturity thing. Again, what this pre-calculus is an extra training ground before calculus, when many times you don't even feel like you're learning new stuff. So thank you so much for bringing that up. Please always remember I said this. Minus and a plus sign, those are like super glue, okay? I will say things that seem kind of silly just to make a point, but if I have, and so no, we can't do that, okay? If I have 5 plus 3 over 5 minus 3, I have no business canceling out those 5s or those 3s. Actually, the number didn't have anything to do with those. I would say these aren't 5s. I know that sounds kind of silly because they look like 5s to you, but they are numbers in the making. Do y'all see what I mean? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's not a 5. That's on its way to making a what? An 8, and the bottom is a 2, which to me has nothing to do with canceling out a 5 or a 3. Do y'all see what I mean? Mm-hmm. You cannot cancel over plus and minus signs. There's another reason, it's just not fair. It would be like if my parents got my sister a kitten and they said, here's your sister's kitten, and then they get me a kitten. I would go, that's not fair, in which case my parents would answer, life's not fair. But anyway, if you say 5 plus 2 over 2, and you want to cancel those, first of all, you can see numerically that's wrong. That's 7 over 2, isn't it? That can't even be reduced. Are y'all okay with the real answer is 7 over 2?
Yeah.
Plus, it's not fair. 2 was a common denominator. What does common mean? It means that everybody has access to it, right? Okay, like a common area. So everybody has access to it. It's not fair. What's 5 screaming? That's not fair. Who did the 2 belong to? The 2 and the 5. So if you wanted to break that up, you could do this. Oops. Isn't that cute?
We should have a puppy.
I don't know what's happening here.
Wasn't the school gonna get a puppy?
I saw on TikTok like a class, got like a class puppy.
Yeah.
See, I think they should get a school puppy, not a class puppy, because the class
No,
puppy.
imagine walking around not knowing when there's a dog coming.
No, I'd rather be
Living in constant fear.
What's
If there was a school
But
cat,
if
it
we
would
all
just
Yeah,
wanted
would
to
you
get a
rather have
class
one-
puppy and we kept it in here, we could take turns walking it.
I like it if you know it's in here. I don't like it if it's like a big dog just roaming around the school.
Yeah,
That's
let's
so
get a little
scary.
French bulldog grumbling around.
We
already have this.
My dog makes so much noise.
A dog in this school.
What do you have? A French
French
bulldog?
bulldog.
But also, I
Makes
feel like that
so
like
much
red
on the
dog.
stairs.
What?
What?
Like the tiny
Oh,
stairs.
dog.
Imagine a dog just like sitting down there and then.
Imagine just peas on the carpet.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like who would take it out to use the bathroom?
Hamilton.
There's like enough.
Hamilton.
So anyway,
Lena.
I don't know what's happening on the board behind me.
Um,
What's new in calendar? Okay,
No,
I don't-
how about that?
back to math, okay? If you had 5 plus 2 over 2, you cannot cancel over a plus or a minus sign. Those are super glued. What is 2 super glued to the 5?
2.
It's creating a 7. Do you see the 2 is super glued to the 5? Okay? So you can't cross out those 2's because I would say this isn't a 2. Do y'all see what I mean being silly? It could be anything. It could be making any kind of number. Addition and subtraction are glued together. The only thing you can cancel with that is another 5 plus 2. They would have to be glued together in the same way. You'll see me do that. You could though write it like this. That's fair, isn't it? Then you could say 5 over 2 plus 1 or something like that, but just don't take the 2 away from the 5.
Yeah.
All right? Okay. All right, so now let's go to, why do I want to do number 2? Number 2 is m minus 3n over 6m cubed times n minus m plus 3n over 6m cubed n. As a math teacher, I not only see people mishandle that scary minus sign, you'll see me mishandle the scary minus sign when I'm in a hurry. So be scared of the minus sign. I'm being facetious, being silly again. But it is beware. Minus signs can trip us up, can't they?
Yes.
That's minus all that stuff back there, okay? Now, does it apply to the m plus 3n and the 6m cubed n, or
No,
just one of
just
them?
this one.
Very good. If it applied to both of them, then it would be a positive, and a negative over a negative, like this. If you have negative 3/4, that could either be negative 3 over 4. Board's acting funny, I'm sorry. Or negative 3 over 4, couldn't it be 3 over negative 4? But it's surely not going to be negative 3 over negative 4. All right, so my common denominator is 6m cubed n. And on the top I have m minus 3n minus m what?
Plus minus 3.
It's gonna be 0 on the top of this.
Okay, we'll get to that in just a minute, but you see how you've got to make sure you distribute it all the way through whatever's back there, okay? And I believe we get 0 on the top, do we? No, we get
you
1.
get
We don't get 1.
Just kidding, sorry.
So, you have negative 6n over 6m cubed n. I'll get rid of this kind of aggravating.
Why did I multiply?
Okay. So the m's cancel out, and we have negative 6n. If somebody had distributed the negative sign, they would have gotten 0.
Yeah.
Okay? Now I can reduce. I just gave you a big, huge speech of what you can't do, but if it's multiplied, you can do it. You know how I said is I would say in this case, like 6 plus 1 over 3. You couldn't say 3 into 6, because I would say that's not a 6. Well, it's on its way to being a 7, right? Okay? But watch this. What if I have 6 times 5 over 3? If it's multiplied, it does take ownership of the number. If I multiply by 6, I definitely have some sort of factor of 6, don't I?
Yeah.
So,
Do y'all see what I mean?
Yeah.
If I add by 6, it might not have anything to do with the 6. But if I
Yeah.
multiply by 6, it can't help but do that. So if they're multiplied together, you can cancel like that and call that 10. Okay? So these are multiplied. These cancel. And the n's cancel. What's left on the top? So you have negative 1 over 6m cubed.
Wait, why don't the 6s?
Oh, the m's are gone. Is that what you were saying, Bryn?
No, the 6s are gone.
6's are gone, yeah.
So the m's aren't gone, so it would be negative 1
1 over m cubed. Yes, negative 1 over m cubed. Well, have you worn those shoes yet? Those are fabulous.
oh, thank you.
Those are the expensive kind
Yeah.
Okay. I found some really cute shoes. I wanted the other day, and they were $450, so I did not get them. So, anyway. All right, so here we go. Let's move on. Let's move ahead. I'm going to skip number 3 and number 4.
Wait, why did the 6 and the negative 6 become
Because it's
a negative
multiplication.
1? Where?
Because this is not plus 6, it's negative 6 times n. And then this 6 is distributed. No, just kidding. That's
Here, Kate, we had gotten to 6n, or negative 6n
Yeah.
over 6m cubed n. I can cancel these 6's
Okay, yeah.
because they're multiplied, okay? And I can cancel those n's.
Okay.
Now, there's no number on the top, so what's it understood to be?
1.
1. So I have
So-
negative 1 over m cubed.
But why is it negative 1?
Oh, when we subtracted, we got minus 3n, we had negative 6n on the top already.
But what is it the negative 6 canceled with the 6?
What is 6 into negative 6?
Negative 1.
Negative 1.
Okay.
That makes sense that way? So I probably should have done that in retrospect. I was canceling out the sixes and leaving this negative right here.
Yeah.
But it probably makes more sense to say 6 goes into -6, -1 times.
Okay.
Like I would say 6 into 12 is 2.
Yeah.
So that probably makes more sense to you. Okay. Why am I skipping all the way down to number 7? Look at 1 through 6. Why is
Because they're all the same.
You already have a
Seven
common
doesn't
But
denominator.
for number 4,
Okay.
for number 4,
Uh-huh.
would you, like, if you cancel out, like, I cancel out the n on top, and then would you also cancel out, like, the 6?
Wait, you can't cancel the n on top
Because it's
Well,
subtraction.
if there's,
because it says n minus 6.
wait, n minus 6? No, not there. I'm talking about.
Let's do number 4.
Okay.
So I can see where Dakota is. Alright, this is number 4. Alright, number 4 is 5 over 10n squared plus 16n plus 6. Which normally I would have to factor to try to help me get a common denominator.
What is this for?
Number 4.
Yeah.
Alright, so normally what you'll do is you'll factor to try to get the least common denominator. You need like one of each factor, okay? You don't want too big of a denominator, but I have a common denominator. I'm not really worried about this one because it's got a plus sign in it. So I'm gonna add, my common denominator is 10n squared plus 16n plus 6. And on the top I have 5 plus n minus 6. So that gives me n minus 1 over 10n squared plus 16n plus 6. Oh, so sorry. I need to write right in the middle of this board. So anyway, if you could read that, pretending like we could read that.
So my question was, would you cancel out, would it end up being -1 over 10n squared plus 16 plus 6? Would you cancel
Where's
out
the
the two
n gonna
n's?
go?
Would you cancel out the n on the top and n on the bottom?
That's what I've been saying. You mean like those two n's? Yeah, that's a common mistake. So that's what I was just ranting and raving about. I'd say that's not an n. Okay?
Okay.
Like, look at this. That really has nothing to do with 11.
Yeah.
It becomes 10, which isn't even a factor of 11. So Dakota, that's
Just
what I,
leave
do
it
you
as
see,
it is?
think of that minus sign like super glue, remember? N is glued to -1 right now. Or it's n minus 1 is glued together. You cannot take out anything like it unless you have one just like it.
So it would just stay, that would be the.
That would be your final answer if you could read my writing. The final answer to that is n minus 1 over 10n squared plus 16n
Okay,
plus
so
6.
only multiplication is when you can.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, there is a chance that this could have reduced a different way than what Dakota's talking about, so she's on the right track. This might reduce if what happens? If the bottom factors, right, Alina, if the bottom factors and cancels, okay? Do y'all see what she's saying? We'll do some of that. I haven't factored the bottom, but I just know that it's not gonna give me an n minus 1. I'll get to that in a minute. Mainly because I have the answers on my sheet of paper, okay? But you are required to try to factor and cancel. In fact, let's do that now, okay? Because you wouldn't want to stop here. I just happen to be privy to the answer. Miss O.D. gave us these cute little styluses. Let me see if I can write with it. Maybe I can write better with it. Maybe not. We'll see. Have I tried that in here? No. Okay. Oops. One thing I love the smartboard, but one thing I don't like about it is once I pick different things, it goes back. Anyway, alright, so right now I have n minus 1, like that, so. Alright, so I have n minus 1, and then I have 10n squared. Oh, this is not good. This is very fat. Let's see. 10n squared plus 16n plus 6. Alright, I need to go over factoring anyway. And I know some of you are like, I hate factoring, I'm great at factoring, I'm not good at factoring. We will be good at factoring by the time we walk out of this room. You have to be, okay? One thing that was very freeing for me was to realize that my teacher didn't have an inside lane. I don't know if you know what that means. If you're in a race and somebody's got the inside lane, they run less than you do. Anyway, I thought my teacher had some sort of inside scoop on factoring, that they knew something I didn't know. And that's not really true. It's just trial and error. You just do trial and error till you get it. It's just that if you do it enough, you get faster at it. And so it looks like your math teachers are really good at it. You can be just as good, but all we're doing is trial and error. We're just trying to mix and match until we get it right. The last thing I worry about in a trinomial is the middle number, okay? So this is how to factor. So right now, we're back to what Dakota was asking, n minus 1 over. First rule of factoring, and I see people mess this up all the time, so I hope Alina listens later or let's remind her. The first rule of factoring always is to take out what's in common, because it will make your life a lot easier, okay? So you want your life to be easy, so don't forget the first rule of factoring. I'll probably ask you once a month. What's the first rule of factoring is take out what's in common. What do y'all see in common here between the 10, 16, and the 6? 2. All right, so that leaves me with 5n squared plus 8n plus what? 3. Okay. Most people don't like to factor with the 5 in the front. If that 5 wasn't there, wow. Okay. What was this? Plus 2?
Plus 3.
3. Okay. If I just have something like n squared plus 8n plus 3, most of us can do that in our head. Because you just have to try to do factors of 3 until you can get an 8 in the middle. That one behind me doesn't factor, by the way. The one I just circled, I can't think of factors of 3 that give me an 8. Like, it doesn't factor. Over here, though, I don't have the luxury of going, there's factors of 3 that give me 8, because they're also interacting with the 5 in the front, and that could happen. Okay? Wouldn't you love somebody to give you something to where you know if you're wasting your time trying to factor? What if it just never factors? And you do already know that. It's called the discriminant, b squared minus 4ac. I never realized how valuable it was in algebra 2 until I got into pre-calculus. I use it all the time, okay? I never even use the quadratic formula, by the way, but I use that piece of the quadratic formula, b squared minus 4ac. All right, so right here, what is b squared? 64 minus 4, what's a? 5, and c? 3. All right, that gives me 64 minus 60,
Yeah.
360, yeah.
which gives me 4, which is a perfect square. So that means this will factor, okay? How do I know all of that? Where's b squared minus 4ac in the quadratic formula? It's underneath that square root, and it's under the radical, and so if that's a perfect square, that means you could have factored it in the first place. If I'd have gotten 7 right here, that means I know in my big old quadratic formula I'd have some sort of plus or minus square root of 7, which means I was never going to be able to factor it anyway. So it's a nice thing to know. So I can factor this one, so let's move on. All right, so I have n minus 1 over 2, keep that 2 out there, and now I'm going to factor. Always take out what's in common first. This is how I factor, okay?
5n.
I factor the front, and then I factor the back, and then I keep trying things until I get to the middle. You'll like this, I promise, if you weren't taught this way, okay? You don't have time as a junior and senior in high school to do some cutesy little chart. There are cutesy little charts. I think that's going to be kind of silly moving forward, okay? 5n squared. So my possibilities are 5n times n. Do y'all agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then it has to be
And
positive.
factors of 3. We'll get to that in a minute. Factor the front, factor the back. I can put a 3 here and a 1 here, or vice versa.
Vice versa.
Sometimes you get better at doing it, but if I put a 3 here and a 1 here, sorry, I'm having to guess where I am, okay? That gives me 3n. Do you see that little smile? I like smiling. That gives me 5n. Can I create an 8 with that?
Yeah.
If I couldn't, I could just switch them and try again. Do y'all see what I mean? So, and they all of these signs are what? Plus. I'm trying to guess where this plus sign's gonna land. I'm writing like over there and it writes over here.
Wait, so why, but wouldn't you
That's
get
fine.
15n squared?
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, no, no, you wouldn't. It's just because of where the slide is going, like, it's because I'm over there and my writing is bad. So Dakota, I see what you mean. This 3 right here, that 3 is not really there. It just like was off the page when I was trying to guess where I was writing. So let me redo it. Let's do it down here. I just need to not go over there and write. Sorry about that. All right, let's do it on this slide. Okay, we had n minus 1 over 2 times 5n squared plus 8n plus 3. All right, now I'm going to factor. I'll factor the front, 5n squared. I'm going to try 5n and 1n. Then I factor the back. I don't worry about the middle yet. I factor the back into either 1 times 3 or 3 times 1. What if I did a 1 here and a 3 here? You can do a quick check. Usually I do it mentally. Most of y'all are already saying no, because that gives you a 1 and that gives you a 15.
Yeah.
Can you get an 8 out of that?
No.
Okay, so you can quickly switch them to 3 and 1. Like I said, you get good enough to where you can usually do it in your head. So this is 3 and 1. That gives me 3, and what does that give me? 5. All right, and so I'm going to go plus. And Dakota, what I'm going to get if I actually now do FOIL is 5n squared. It's going to be 5n and 3n. And the back's going to give me 3.
Yeah, I was just confused because I thought at first it was like 5n plus something, and then
And it looked like it was a 3n,
yeah.
and that would have been wrong. Do y'all see how I worry about the middle number later?
Awesome.
Okay? All right, question?
So, I think I did something wrong because, so, so when you're factoring the bottom, do you have to, like, you know how you pulled out the 2?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do
You have to keep up with it.
You have to.
Yeah, you can't lose that.
Okay, because I didn't do that, and so then I got 2n plus 2 times 5n plus 3, but then I wouldn't be.
Okay, so tell me what you got, Julia.
I
2?
got 2n plus 2 times 5n plus 3. But then with the way that you did it now.
Wait, we're good. But it's not fully reduced now. If I reduced it on the front end, you gotta reduce yours on the back end. What does this have in common?
2.
A 2.
Oh,
So you're gonna factor out a 2, and that leaves you n plus 1 times 5n plus 3. You and I both have got to look and see if we've completely factored it.
So you can do it after.
Yeah, but I wouldn't,
Yeah.
for lots of reasons. The biggest 2 reasons I wouldn't wait and factor out what's in common at the end is my numbers are a lot bigger than I want them to be. I got more to fight with. And the second reason is I might not even notice that there's something in common at the end.
Okay.
So look at the beginning. Claire?
And they taught me to do like a square equation, like this girl. You know what I mean?
Quadratic formula?
Yes, like the one that, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was saying. We don't have time for that anymore. It was like great for algebra. And you're going back to your school, so you can still use it, but we gotta push on from that because they're gonna be among people that are gonna be factoring really fast. And but I mean, nobody's gonna stop you from doing it. So,
I
yeah.
was wondering.
Yeah. Actually, once you try this, it goes a lot faster than drawing the little square thing. It's just sort of like to introduce it, but it's the same process probably. But you'll watch me factor and you'll make your own decisions as to how you want to do it. Okay. So yeah, that little square thing's super cool. Now, after all that work. I'd be kind of mad on the test because now it doesn't even reduce. Y'all see that there's no n minus 1? I know there's an n minus 1 and an n plus 1. Remember the super glue? What's 7 plus 1 is 8, 7 minus 1 is 6. They might not have anything to do with each other. 10 plus 1 is 11, 10 minus 1 is 9. Do y'all see those are completely different numbers? Okay? All right, so our final answer to that one was really, it was fine right here. Okay? But you got to factor and see if it cancels, which we're going to get to. All right, let's run on over to number 7. Let's go to number 7. Alright, so number 7. Number 7 is 6 over x minus 1 minus 5x over 4. Alright, if it factors, you want to factor it out before you ever start the problem, but nothing here factors, does it?
No.
Alright, so what do I need for my common denominator?
You have to multiply that side,
You multiply
by 4, and then the other one by x minus 1.
Okay, that's what Dakota's aiming for, right? So we're gonna multiply this one by 4 over 4, using parentheses. And you're gonna multiply this one by x minus 1 and x minus 1. And we're really gonna be aware of that, okay? In the front, are y'all okay if I get 24? You see how it changes to different colors? I mean, different sizes. That drives me crazy. Okay. So anyway, this gives me 24 minus 5x squared what?
Minus 5x.
Plus 5x.
Plus 5x.
I always forget the signs. I hate
That's
that.
why
I
I'm
do
putting
that.
it in red, okay? It's like warning, warning, warning. This becomes negative 5x squared and negative of the negative 5x, okay? So be really careful with that. Obviously, I've seen it happen a lot, another common mistake. All right, now, I don't know if it's reduced,
Can you factor the top?
so let's see if we can factor the top. All right, on my test and quizzes, well, first of all, I think most of us would write it like this. Negative 5x squared plus 5x plus 24 over 4 times x minus 1. What's the first rule in factoring? Oh, don't distribute. Don't call it 4x minus 4 on the bottom. In fact, on my tests and my quizzes in your calculus class next year, nobody's going to care if that's ever multiplied out. In fact, they'll think you're very wise not to. Because what are you waiting to see will happen? If it cancels, which means you'll have to refactor it. Okay? Which with 4x minus 4 is not too bad, but then you might not even see it. So leave the bottom and you'll see me leave it in parentheses. What's the first rule of factoring? Take out what's in common. Is there anything in common on the top?
The X. No.
Nothing in common on the
no.
top. Like all through, all the way across.
Oh, no.
There's some 5s, some X's, but nothing all the way across. Hang on just a second, Fran.
Okay.
All right, now I really don't like starting my factoring with a negative. Okay, so I'm going to rearrange it to 24 plus 5x minus 5x squared. I don't want my negative to be in the front.
Can't you just take out the negative and then like
Where are you gonna
multiply
put
it
it?
all by -1?
As long as you keep up with that negative. We'll go back and I'll look at that with you. But you can't lose it. You can't just multiply by a negative because then you just change the number someone gave you. I can go, you give me a -3, if I multiply it by a negative, now I have a +3, but it's not what you gave me. So you can get the wrong answer. All right, so here's a news flash. You don't have to have x in the front to factor. I would put it in the front, x squared, I would put it in the front or the back, though I wouldn't have it in the middle. Either ascending or descending order. I always check for something in common. You've got to discipline yourself to do that. Okay, factors of 24. Oh, wait, let's don't try to factor it if it won't factor, right? That's what I started to say earlier. We don't have time to waste, all right? I think it took you maybe a lot of you the whole time to take the test the other day. We don't have time to waste, so why am I going to factor if it won't factor, okay? So I'm going to say b squared, now time out. When I do b squared minus 4ac, do I need to use this one or this one? The top one. B squared minus 4ac does need to be in descending order. So b squared, you'll have your calculator, but I'm going to write it down. B squared is 25, this is called the discriminant, minus 4ac. So it gives me 25 plus,
Wait, why 25?
hang on just a minute, maybe I shouldn't. B squared would be 25.
Okay.
B squared minus 4,
Plus sign.
it's minus a negative.
Oh,
And I believe 20 times 24 is 480. You'll have your calculator. Does anybody have theirs out where you can check my math? I'm really, really good at really hard math. I'm really not so careful at really easy math. Does anybody have a calculator? Or y'all just verify it with me. Did I do anything wrong there? Alright, so b squared minus 4ac, so 25 minus 4 times negative 5 times 24. Was it 505?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think it's a perfect square, but if you don't know, she can then square root it. I think we would recognize it, but it's not, is it? Do you see how that's gonna save me some time? I'm not gonna fight with this problem. I could have never factored that one. We'd be real frustrated at the end. I don't like these myself because 24 has so many different possibilities, doesn't it? 2 and 12, 3 and 4, 6 and 2, and so 6 and 4 and so on. Okay? So, let me check the answer. Yeah, this is the final answer right here.
So Mrs. Eric.
Alright, hey, I'm gonna come back to you in just a minute.
Okay.
And next I'm gonna go to number 10. So I'll be at 10 next. Brian, you had a question a while back. Are we just gonna try to answer for me?
I don't remember what it was. I remember that I did have a question.
I think she answered it because you were like, oh, that's what I was gonna ask. It was if you, that was when she said, like, can you multiply the whole thing by a negative one so you take out the negative?
Oh yeah, it was your negative question maybe.
I don't remember.
So up here, Bryn, if you'd have multiplied it by, you can't really multiply it by a negative.
Yeah.
You could have factored out a negative like this, a negative, and left it as 5x
Yeah.
squared minus 5x minus 24.
Yeah. But that doesn't factor anyways.
And that one doesn't factor either, so. There was, Nazareth, you had a question.
Hold on. So even though, you can't factor out, I forgot exactly how I was gonna ask this question, but.
Okay,
even
try.
Even though, the top is, like, you can't factor the top, you'd still leave it in the bottom and 4x minus 1.
Might as well be in that habit, be great. It's not any more correct to have it 4x plus 4. A lot more useful to have it in the habit of 4x minus 1. What did I say I was going to? Number 10 or 11? Number 10. Alright, so this is number 10.
How many more?
We're gonna probably do 2 or 3 more.
Okay.
And don't lose this sheet because y'all are gonna remind me to post the answers to the whole thing. Alright, so number 10 is 3 over
4v squared.
Do y'all see what I did as I was working, as I was writing it on my paper or on the board? What did I do to the bottom?
Take out what was in front of it.
I went ahead and started factoring in case I needed it. Do y'all see that 4v squared plus 4v, I'm gonna just factor as I'm writing it down. I took out what was in common is how I factored that.
Wait, but wouldn't that make it more, I guess you could do that, but I was thinking like the next step would be to have a common denominator, you would multiply, or you would get 2 times 4v squared plus 4v.
Okay, in this particular problem, but in the grand scheme of things, you'd much rather do this, much rather, because you gotta look at everything that you've got, okay? So you'll see. So Dakota, I'm just gonna keep going, okay? What do you need to multiply this one by?
2. 7 halves, sorry, negative 7.
No, you don't. What's your common denominator? Maybe I'm answering Dakota's question right now. You can see all of your factors.
2. We multiply by 2.
2 multiply the 2 by
Do I need to multiply the front one by anything?
no, it's the second one.
What do I multiply the second one by?
2v
Good.
squared.
Okay, wait. Let's not go that far.
No, 2v.
I'm gonna have to multiply this one by 2v and a v plus 1. I need to multiply this one by 2v and v plus 1. Oh, I hate this board. Okay.
But why 2v?
What's your common denominator here? Why am I writing over here? I don't know. Are you gonna use 48?
No.
What's your common denominator?
12.
Cause isn't this already taking care of that 4? Look at your common denominator up there. You have a 4, a v, and a v plus 1.
Yeah.
Do you see that the 4 is taking care of the 2? So here, let's write this down. What is my
yeah,
common
that does make
denominator?
sense.
Do y'all know what my common denominator is?
It's 4v
It's 4v
times v plus 1.
times v plus 1. So if you factored it down, you really see, is it the 4 gonna take care of that 2 right there?
What do you mean by take care of it?
Because 2.
Like, if I make my common denominator here 12, the 12's taking care of that 4. That factor is in here. I don't need to go bigger. I don't need to make this 8. I don't need to make it, do you see what I'm saying?
So you would just multiply the 2 by 4? Wait, no, well,
Keep thinking. The front is fine. It's over 4v times v plus 1. What are we gonna have to multiply this one by? How can we get this one to be 4v times v plus 1? This one needs
2v,
what? 2v
2v,
and a v plus 1?
v plus.
2v and a v plus 1.
Why can't we just do 2v squared plus 2v?
One thing, there's a whole lot to say here. It's sort of like the questions that Bren and Clara and you are asking me, like, you could do that, but as a teacher, have I seen that in people's best interest? No. Because if you leave it eventually I am gonna actually have to multiply that out. But I'm not sure why right now you would even do it as 2v squared plus 2. If you do and you get it right, I'm not gonna mess with it, but I'm gonna kind of guide you to where you're gonna make the least careless mistakes, and you're gonna do it the same way every time. But if I just left it like this, most students would have said the common denominator was 8. I'm sorry, back on the other one, where it used to be. I didn't even write it down. The original one was on number 10, 3 over 4v squared plus 4v minus 7 over 2. Is that it? Okay, so if I had that, I was afraid most people would multiply this one by 2 and this one by 4v squared plus 4v. If I can get you to factor on the front end, the whole time you've got these factors you're looking at, you're all set up ready to cancel in case it happens. I agree that you don't really have a vested interest in listening to me yet, since I haven't done one when that happens, but you'll be so grateful when it does happen. Plus, a person that does it this way will be sort of like what, I can't remember who I was talking to about it. If you leave it like this and you think that your common denominator is going to be to multiply this one by 2 and this one by 4v squared plus 4v, at the very end of the problem you'll have too much and you'll have to reduce it at the end if you want to get the answer right. I think that's what you and I were talking about.
Yeah.
It's better to take care of all of that on the front end. Wouldn't you like a teacher to help make your life easier? That's what I'm doing. I'm not trying to make your life harder. I'm trying to make your life easier. So don't resist it too much, because as a student, I always wanted to make my life easier. I wanted to go, tell me what I can do to get these answers right, to where I'm not going to make careless mistakes, and I'm not going to have huge numbers that I don't want to deal with, or bigger numbers that I don't want to deal with. Fran?
So once you distribute all of it out, then you have 3 over 4v times v plus 1 minus 14v times v plus 1.
All right, this is going to give me negative 14v. You've got to be really careful with all of this right here, Bran, because you're
You're
distributing.
putting it all over one denominator?
Well, this is what I would do first, in the top. I'm going to call that 14v.
Yeah.
I'm going to take my time on this so I don't make a mistake, because that's all 3 things to multiply together. That's 14v times v plus 1.
Okay, so you're putting it all over one denominator.
That's why I got a common denominator, yes. That's my whole goal.
Okay, got it.
Alright, now I'm gonna have 3 minus 14v squared minus 14v. I'm gonna keep the bottom like this.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What is that?
So 3 minus 14v squared. Here, I'll get rid of the dot. So I have 3 minus 14v squared minus 14v. And I am glad I have the bottom still factored, not multiplied out. You'll be glad one day. Now, do y'all see I would rearrange this and try to factor the top and see if something cancels? Okay? But I am privileged to have the answers and it doesn't reduce. But if you tried that on a quiz or a test or your homework or Delta Math, because Delta Math now will let you type it in unless you have it reduced, okay?
But I thought that you said if you multiply, you can cancel it out on the top or the bottom. So wouldn't you cancel out the v plus 1?
Well,
Or
there
would
is no
that-
v plus 1 in the top. The only thing you'd get rid of a v plus 1 is a v plus 1. Okay,
For-
remember minus signs are glued.
Yes.
This is glued to that 3.
Oh, so you
That's all, that is a number in the making. That is not a v plus 1. That's a v plus 1 times a 14v subtracted from a 3.
Yeah.
So God only knows what that is so far. They're great questions because people tend to do that. By the way, you may wonder like how this plays with what we just did. Do you see the whole time I'm aware of my asymptotes? Where it's defined, where it's undefined? We're going in that direction with all of this, okay? All right, so now let's do 2 where it doesn't matter. Let's see. I think I'll pull up some Delta Math. 'Cause these are all just starter problems. Let's see. Okay, so this will be homework for Friday? Wait, Monday? Today Thursday? Monday. October what? 7? No, I mean, what will Monday be?
Today? No.
No, she means yeah, it's October 7th.
We're in math class and it's October 3rd.
What is?
For Mean Girls, that's what I was saying!
What's the date?
It's October 3rd.
Oh, wow.
It's Wednesday.
I feel like I'm there.
Okay, so now let's do this one.
Yeah, it's like I
The limit does not exist.
No, it actually was a musical.
Yeah, I dragged her.
She did.
I made her come because
What do you
they
think?
did not appreciate the art of musical theater. Oh, and guess who liked it?
Me.
Yes.
You guys saw some.
I don't think I've ever really
So
seen the whole entire movie
It was-
of Mean Girls though. Like,
Oh, but that hurt
I've
my
never
heart.
seen the entire
I know.
movie of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I've started it 40
Same.
times.
Same.
I can't finish it.
I love the
Okay, so, I was afraid without all of that discussion on sort of somewhat easy problems, that you would jump into this with, if I just let you go 15 minutes ago, I was afraid this would become a big blown up problem, where you would multiply this one by x squared plus 3x minus 28, and this one by x plus 4, and you have lots of distribution to you have this out of control x cubed thing that you would have to factor. If I didn't say all of this, there'd be at least 6 people that went and did that, and your life would be miserable, okay? So like I said, I wanna make your life easier, so I'm gonna see if this factors before I even start. All right, so this factors, let's rewrite this.
Is this on our homework or
No, this is a Delta Math problem. This is like what you'll face for homework, okay? All of the ones on the sheet, you just get used to adding and subtracting, being careful with your minus sign. Nothing on that sheet cancels, I don't think, okay? So right now, you don't have like a really ownership of why I'm showing you all the stuff that I've labored over showing you. I'm gonna factor this. Factor the front. X squared is x times x. 28, your choices are 7 and 4. trying to decide where it is. What do you want your signs to be? This means your signs are different. One's positive, one's negative. Which one's positive?
The
The
positive
7.
three.
This one's easier to factor because
Oh,
it doesn't
plus
have.
7 minus 4.
So this is plus 7 minus 4.
Oh, we see another minus 4.
All right, so I'm going to write it underneath here since I have so much trouble writing on that side of the screen.
So you have to just multiply it by.
So
X.
you don't have to write it down twice. I'm just writing, yes. You'll be so thankful you factored because your life will be so much smaller, okay? So
Your life.
if you had said this times this was your common denominator, once again, it would turn into a nightmare, like a really bad one, okay? But what's my common denominator?
Negative 4x.
My common denominator.
Sorry, x plus 7 times x minus 4.
Do you see what I mean a little while ago? Isn't the x minus 4 taking care of the x
Yeah.
minus 4 in the front?
Yes.
So I only
And you
need
just
to
have
do something
multiply
to
by
one
x
of them.
plus 7.
All right, so I only need to multiply this one by x plus 7. Oh, x plus 7. So pretend like that says x plus 7 and x plus 7. I'm so sorry. I'm going to just rewrite it over here. So this is x plus 7 times 7. You don't have to rewrite it. X plus 7 times x minus 4
Oh, it does that.
minus 7x over x plus 7 times x minus 4. Now,
Oh, and then when you actually like distribute the 7, then you have positive 7x and those two cancels out.
they will. That's going to give me 7, because I've got to make this number. Do you see that minus sign? On the top, that gives me 7x plus 49 minus 7x over x plus 7 times x minus 4 that you can leave that way. Well, I'll check in Delta Math and
And
make
then
sure they'll let you.
7x is canceled.
That cancels. And now I have 49 over x plus 7, x minus 4. But sometimes you'll have something sitting there that you can then cancel, like another x plus 7 or another x plus 4. Let's type it in like that before you go and see if Delta Math will accept it factored. So I've had 49 over
x plus 7 times x minus 4. Yes.
Let's see if it lets you submit it that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll let you. That way you can screw, that way
That's
you
the
can.
best shade of green. I know. Really nice.
All right, so go on and leave now. I'm gonna be grading papers.
Can we stay?
You can stay in here for a few minutes, and then if you have to go to class or something. I don't have a class, so I'm just gonna keep grading. I think I need to get out of this room though, so we'll stay here till about. I'll be in this room for about 5 to 10 more minutes. Okay.
So if we stay, will we get our